Hey guys, welcome to my live stream. Welcome to my cactus live stream, cactus care, sowing out a little bit of vegetables here and there, trying to have it all. Today in the stream, I really brought a wide variety of different things to do. I have seedlings in the bag, little cactus seedlings that we have in the square pots, just to compare compared to the takeaway containers. Yeah, then I dropped a bunch of seedlings that we need to transplant into new soil. I brought new soil. I fixed the water sprayer again and it broke again. So yeah, and I brought vegetables. Chili that we have sown out where everything succeeded, and others where everything failed. And I want to have a look at those. Just making sure that to try to understand why they haven't come up. So yeah, that's the plan for today. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to my cactus stream. And I will just get started discussing a bunch of stuff here. So let me see what we have here. This doesn't have a label, so it's probably empty. This here was an attempt to sow out watermelons. And everything moldy. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to put my fingers onto it. But yeah, both moldy, probably due to the age of the seeds, age of the watermelon seeds that I put in there. I will look into that a little bit more. You live and learn. Hey mate, welcome to the stream. Good morning. And the obligatory turning off the automatic translator. Thank you for joining. Yeah, great to have you. I'm going through the little bags of seedlings, like where I have sown out like vegetables, chili, watermelon, whatever. A lot of different vegetables that I've sown out. But so far, some have started to rot right away. So unviable seeds, most likely in a lot of cases. This was old kind of tomato seeds that I've sown out. And I want to discuss about that. I want to discuss that stuff too. You know, not only when I succeed, but also when something doesn't come up. And in this case, like I said, tomato seeds, maybe 8-9 years old, maybe longer. And these here, what's that? Kiwi. Those were the kiwi seeds. It doesn't really look moldy. So maybe these just need their cold treatment. I tried to give the kiwi seeds a cold treatment, but apparently maybe they need specific conditions. We will look into that. These were chili that didn't come up. Also older seeds. And welcome everyone to my stream. You are at a cactus stream, discussing the cactus seedlings that we've grown from seeds here, and also bunch of chili, different ones. I want to report these today. And yeah, I want to discuss the cactus seedlings. So let's get started with that. But there was a lot of failure with the old seeds too. If you're sowing out old seeds, there are many success stories, but there's also a lot of failure. Okay, so yeah, let me go through the containers with seedlings that we have sown out. They are still in the bag. That means very young, first few weeks of life. These are just little cactus seedlings after they've been sown out. Age maybe a couple weeks. And I wanted to look at them, making sure that the humidity is set right. The soil feels actually humid. I want to put in a drop more water, but not a lot, really just a little bit. It looks okay. The soil has kind of bricked a little. when it compacts so much that it looks like a brick. So that's why I put in a little bit water. I want to get it to have flexibility again, like really easy to work with soil. And that's the opposite of it. So here, hey, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. Yeah, just going through the cactus seedlings here that we have grown, discussing stuff. This was sown too deep. The moss had a little moss problem, but it stopped instantly when I took it out of the bag. Apart from that, they look okay. They've been fertilized. I want to water them a little now. So let me just bring up the tray here. Because the moment I start to water here, it will get really messy. I brought the water sprayer, by the way. I had repaired the water sprayer, and now it's starting to lose water. It's kind of shooting out here somewhere, so I need to fix that. I brought a little bit of tape. Maybe we're fixing the water sprayer today. Water sprayer was so clogged up with algae. Oh yeah, here. So I need to fix that. My suspicion is that I stood on it when I'm totally walking around. You know, when you have absolutely no regard for everything that happens around you, listening to music, you know, and then stepping on that thing. I can see that happening. And I had just repaired it. I have no luck with water sprayers right now, so let me fix that very quick. I just wanted to not spray water anymore, like from the center. It should just spray water from the tip. So yeah, let me fix that here really quick. Okay. So let's try this again. Needs more pressure. Yes, it works, but not well. Maybe I will need to get one of those special tapes for watertight. Thought maybe it's enough, but I need to get the other tape. So I will fix that thing later. Apart from that, like the water, seedlings look good. I would love to have them a little bit higher in the pot, but taking them out now is not easy. It works sometimes when the soil is really compact and everything sticks together. But in this case, I'm not seeing it, especially now that I took effort into getting it a little bit more flexible, getting flexibility into the soil again. Once something dries out completely, it can get really hard to work with. Okay. Apart from that, they look good. I have a few containers where very young seedlings came up. This one's interesting. Check it out. Very young. Or let's call it very small, because they should have already maybe a month of age. This is Teleflora, I guess. Imperialis, similar hybrid. Hybrid also with Sörensia telegona. Genetically not really great, but some of them are green, some of them are growing. That's good enough for me. I want to pick one of those, the little seedlings that really look healthy later on. Of course, you can also, if the others will be able to survive long term, then I'm happy to keep a few of the variegated seedlings too. But they should really make it by themselves on the root. Okay, this one here also a little bit deep. At some point the soil sinks down. I want to start, at some point you can start repotting them, but the small ones in this container are still a little bit too small. So I'm watering this. Soil was dry again. This morning I started spraying them maybe around 8. 8 in the morning I sprayed the seedlings, and now they're dry again. That is just, I kind of turned back the heater because I felt like it was excessive. So trying to get to a point where I can spray them twice a day and they look good. I don't want them to dry out too fast. But they should dry out relatively fast because of the fungus gnats. They are always around, and if they find favorable conditions, they will just come back. So I try really hard not to have that, not to allow that. So the soil needs to dry out. The seedlings are under a lamp, so they lose a fair amount of water very fast during the day. So in this one, everything's too dry. Bunch of seedlings that I put in there to recover, but everything is too dry. Sometimes when you are transplanting, you fail to hit the right humidity. The new medium, whatever you want to pot in, if it's not thoroughly humid, like really an equal kind of humidity in the soil, it can at some point dry out, even if you have it in a closed container. The soil just takes a while to take in the water, and in many cases it just goes too fast. Where the water runs through that thing. So for now I want to wait until this is a little bit more usable. The soil was so dry that the seedlings still got a little bit of humidity, but they weren't really well connected to the soil because that dried out kind of root system cannot take in so many nutrients, cannot take in as much water as they can take in from just what they get via condensation. So yeah, trying to work on the root here, that the seedlings have a good connection to the soil, that they don't touch the soil with their whole body. I don't like when the whole seedling is kind of lying sideways. That leads to infection very fast. Kind of important to have air get to everywhere around the seedling. So yeah, I've been trying to improve the connection to the soil here of the little seedlings, repositioning them, because I just opened this up and I saw that the seedlings were still too dehydrated, despite being in a bag. It was just unusual. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm discussing a lot of seedlings. I really have a lot of stuff for today. I always walk through the house and try to pick the interesting things that we can do on the stream every time. Yeah, I also decided that I will in the future, when we are doing, like when I'm bringing in seedlings from the greenhouse, the little bit bigger seedlings, I will do that in the video, because that allows me to kind of zoom in, to show the seedling and show everything that's happening at the seedling. So yeah, I will do that in videos in the future. And I might actually film a few today, because I have a bunch of lots of seedlings that I brought in from the greenhouses where I want to work on just repotting, cleaning up. It can be very rewarding to clean up like seedlings and get rid of the weeds and all that stuff. So I want to do that later. Yesterday I cleaned the greenhouses again, trying to get rid of the algae on the greenhouse walls. And it's everywhere around the greenhouses. And yeah, it's not raining right now. I wanted to wait for real rain because that makes it a little easier to scrub the green stuff off the greenhouses. But yeah, I'm getting more light every day in the greenhouses. I'm actually a little bit worried about getting too much light now. When you clean a window very well, you can suddenly have sunburn that you never had before. Yeah, thank you. I'm currently really doing a lot of work also, to prepare the new season. I'm already working on the new season, making sure that it's getting good, taking down trees with the neighbor. So this is going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. And right now, the seed stuff is finally starting to take off. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good seedlings that we are growing here. So yeah, let's continue. But I'm fairly happy with everything right now. Okay, I wanted to look into this one. This had bothered me a little. I didn't see a lot of germinations. That was what stuck out. And there were germinations, but they were tiny, really tiny seedlings. Not really healthy, I've been discussing that a lot. In this case, it feels like the seeds were old, but it was fresh seeds, seeds from the 2025 harvest. So these are genetically poor. This was Leuchtfeuer, by the way. I was really unhappy that cross, like last season, when I looked at all the hybrid crosses that I made, there were always somewhere I looked at them and felt like I want to sow these out. You always have that where you feel like this is going to be a great cross and I want to sow them out right away. And that was one of them where I felt like I need those growing right now. And yeah, it was one of the worst seeds of the season in regards to viability. Was not that it's completely that's completely lifeless, but barely qualifying. And yeah, I was trying to I think it was pink stripes or something like that I tried to pollinate it. Unfortunately, but it happens. Let me see. No. Yeah, no. I'm sorry, no. Every now and then it kind of filters out comments. And sometimes it's for a good reason. I'm not saying more. Okay. Yeah, like I said, this is pretty unfortunate here. I don't really see a lot of potential, but I would still close it up again. Maybe we will get one or two seedlings that are healthy. For now, it's not likely. Okay. This is the one from earlier. Okay, let's see what's here. Yeah, old seeds. I will move that away. At some point, when the viability, when nothing comes from the old seeds, then it's time to throw it away. Hey, welcome to the stream. Great to have you. Thank you for joining. In this one here, check this out. I had those seedlings were not doing well. So I transplanted them into sowing soil. They were doing poorly in washed pumice. They were plagued by fungus gnats. But in the washed pumice, it was a little too fast draining for the seedlings. So now I repotted them and had them in the bag. I usually bring, when I put stuff back in the bag, it's only for short, only for them to recover. And it has happened. You know, they look a little bit better. They recovered a little. And I saw that one seedling here has the classic fungus gnat bite marks. So it's time to take it out again. Sometimes you can't really get rid of them completely when you transplant, when you move it like from infested soil into new soil. But yeah, now that they are in the sowing soil, it works better to take them out, to have them at normal humidity in the room. The fungus gnats don't like when the soil dries out, and that will dry out fast, but not so fast that it gets difficult for them, like before, like when I had them in the mineral soil. So yeah, now they stay out. This is big enough, actually. Check out the size. It's not very big, but just barely big enough to survive when I take it out. But I must spray it 3 times a day. If I don't do that, mission failed. They usually, you know, it depends on how warm the whole grow space is. And the warmer it is, the more often you have to water. In this case, when I have them under a lamp, and that just produces a lot of electricity, a lot of heat, a lot of warmth that lets the water evaporate. So yeah, so you have to spray them relatively often when you have a lamp. These are just very young seedlings, maybe a couple of weeks old. Just they start off as tiny little dots on the soil. And in this case, it's particularly small, since this is also one of those Imperialis hybrids. Also, Telegona, Sörensia Telegona hybrid. But so interesting. This plant here, the mother plant, I love it. I'm so happy about these seeds, you know. Sometimes you have stuff and you're so happy about it because you know the family tree, you know how good it is, and that's the case here. The flowers of the mother, like this big and beautiful. One of the biggest flowers, one of the hybrids with the biggest flower that I have. And this is offspring, usually with great parents. Like I made 2 crosses with it last year. And yeah, it's so great to see the seedlings. So great to see these. I'm sure in 7 years from now, these will be amazing. If they make it, if we can manage to keep them alive here, they can be amazing. Okay. Also variegated seedlings among them, by the way. I forgot to show you that. Some of them might not make it long term. You know, you always have that with Imperialis, with Teleflora, the tiny seedlings that are variegated. If you really must, feel free to graft them. You can really save them if you graft them early. But yeah, you will always have to do it in the future, and I don't like that kind of commitment. I like when a plant survives. You know, it's just sitting there, it survives. That's the minimum that I expect it to do. Okay. Yeah, algae. I don't like the algae. The algae here, you see that sludgy kind of top layer? I hate that. I really hate that. And this has already been reported, you know. This has been reported from another container where algae was a huge problem. Now it's transplanted. The seedlings had maybe 3 weeks of time advantage to grow before the moss comes back. Yeah, and 2 seedlings actually used that to grow a little. The 2 in center, like these 2, and the smaller ones, they have barely done anything in the last months since then. The little ones, one is completely white and the other one mostly white. So, and in regards to spines also, the 2 big ones, they both have spines already. And that is usually a good sign. When your little cactus seedlings, you know, when you are not sure if they actually grow, when you see them growing spines, that is one of the things that I always look for. So yeah, I suspect in this container we will get 2 healthy seedlings. The others, not seeing it. Even grafting now, you would probably fail. Even grafting on a Perisciopsis, you know, like the leafy kind of fast-growing, heat-loving grafting stocks, I think they might not make it either in that case. So yeah. And this is Humkes Roro, Hildewinterer, crossed with Echinopsis. That combination can be great, but also not. In general, Cleistocactus, they had that genus, like a little bit like the big Echinopsis genus, where they included all kinds of different relatives, like Hildewinterer, like Loxanthocereus, like Borzicactus. There were times when they had moved these plants back and forth, you know? And Echinopsis is something you can combine with Cleistocactus in general. There are a few famous hybrids around. Kleistopsis, I think by Gräser, Robert Gräser, German breeder. And that Cleistocactus Echinopsis hybrid is famous and really interesting. So they can make a viable combination sometimes with Echinopsis, not always. Yeah. You're considering what to do with them, like grafting or fertilizing. I'm not sure what you're doing with the albino seedling, but yeah, if it can produce chlorophyll, it has a higher, you know, if you take it out, it dries out faster than a healthy seedling. Out grafting, yeah. I mean, it's the only way usually if it's a full albino. Yeah, I have the same autocorrect problems, but yeah, if you want to keep it, graft it. Usually, it's a good idea. Try to look really close. If you can see a little bit of green, I would wait. Because with grafting, when you're grafting something small, you always have risk. Every time you cut a little seedling of that size, it could mean total loss. So I always try to, you know, if there's something where I would want to graft one seedling, then I would probably do it with a completely white one, because the others might long term even make it if I would just water them a little bit longer, you know. So yeah, this one's similar. This was columnar hybrid, like misplant hybrid, already with grandiflorus as father. That was the mother here. And unhealthy, a lot of them. They shouldn't have that color. You can really nicely see the greenish ones in between. That's how they should look like all of them. Yeah, in the beginning, you really gotta wait a little, because when seedlings are stressed, they can also change color, turn red, that kind of stuff. Or sometimes even just when they are germinating, they are a little white because they haven't gotten all that light yet. They haven't really started producing a lot of chlorophyll yet. So always wait a little. Seedlings change sometimes. Sometimes a seedling starts off weak and then it finds the will to live. So it can pay off to have patience with them. Yeah, grafting works incredibly well, especially if you want to just graft a few plants of each cross, to see the flowers earlier, to see them a little bit faster. when you graft little seedlings, you can get them to flower within 4 years, 3 or 4 years. That's very reasonable. And if you have them on the root, they can take 5 to 7 years. In most cases, the seedlings that I graft, they flower much faster. Actually, 3-4 years faster. And sometimes you lose the seedlings that you had on the root, and the only thing that you have left, the only one you have left, is the grafted thing that you actually just wanted to graft to get a preview, you know. But that's why it can be really good to graft. On the other hand, it's bad for genetic health. Like you constantly, with every graft, you increase the likelihood that you will introduce some sort of a pathogen into your grafting stock, like viruses. You know, a lot of people talk about mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic virus. A lot of people talk about it, and it's not the only virus. You know, it's not that a lot of cacti don't even show mosaic virus the same way. But there are many other viruses that you can spread via grafting. So it's often worth to kind of think about it, you know? Because at some point, if you have one infected plant and it gets into the grafting stock, into the cycle, you will carry it around. It might spread into so many plants. I've had certain plants that came from the same propagator, and the person has grafted a lot, and they all had the same kind of weird variegation. Let's call it variegation. Very suspicious variegation, and different clones all from the same, you know. And at that point, that shows how fast it can go. Grafting is actually the main common, that big main method of infection for these kind of viruses. That, like the idea that ants spread that virus. Yes, they can spread it. You know, it's not that, but the likelihood is so much higher that if you graft, you will spread a virus like that. Mechanical inoculation is basically what you're doing. So yeah, grafting has a lot of positive things and negative things. You could really try to prevent it by only grafting on sown out plants, on sown out seedlings maybe. But yeah, if you reuse the same grafting stock over and over and over again, at some point it's just very likely that one of them will have an infection, some sort, you know, and you wouldn't even see it sometimes. You would just see a seedling or a plant that doesn't do well, that just doesn't really fully thrive, not flower well, often gets sunburn, gets sudden weird kind of discolorations. That's the kind of stuff that I would look for. Okay, yeah. So in this case, I'm looking forward to the green seedlings, the yellowish ones here. We will see what they do. We will see how they develop, if they develop. But some of them might actually be able to survive. Some of them have that greenish kind of shine to them, and that could be good. So I will leave them in here. They are too small to take them out. The smallest ones are too small. Do you feel like grafting does significantly change the flower in size or color? Usually not. In my opinion, when you graft something, the plant that flowers often has more nutrients available than when it's flowering on their own root. Being grafted, you usually do it to make use of a bigger rootstock that is already there. You know, you usually graft to make use of the fast-growing stock that you have, and that puts a lot of energy into the graft. into the sign, and that usually leads to good flowering. I've seen a lot of good flowers from plants that I have grafted, and then I see the plant that is flowering on their own root, and it's comparably worse. Not really, but it really depends on the plant also. You know how healthy. Not every plant is similarly healthy, but in general, I really believe that grafting brings out good flowers. It shouldn't change it. In general, when a plant gets the first flower is famous for looking off, for being weak, for not looking good. Sometimes even the second and third kind of flowers, but eventually, if you have a grafted plant and it has a lot of energy available, then it will flower very well when grafted. I wanted to show you these. This is a case where I tried to transplant into a takeaway container, food takeaway container. These had to be transplanted because they needed humidity again, and I was out of square pots. And this is decent to show, to compare it to seedlings when I have them in the bag. For now, they look great. You wouldn't really like. There were a lot of side effects, like problems with the square pot, with the takeaway container, with the salad takeaway containers here. But for now, these look great. They have been getting light, apparently, and humidity to recover. So this is good. The soil, this is sowing soil. Not seeing big problems with moss, stuff like that for now. But it could be on the radar long term. Like the longer I leave it in there, the more likely is that we will get problems with the moss. But we will take these out very soon. They are just in the container to kind of hydrate again, to recover after the first time they were not doing well. And for that, they look great. They are really nice, green, healthy color. So these, weak. Every time I show them quite often, and every time I show them, nothing has happened. Not really a hybrid cross that stands for great genetic health. But one thing that really surprised me, we are getting another seedling here. So one more seedling in this container. The seeds, this was FAS 11, and I work with that a lot. Every seedling that I get from these is good. For now, they are too small to take them out of humidity. I have to leave the lid on. Once you take these out, you will have a very hard time making up for the loss of water. They don't have a lot of water in them. So right now, they will need to stay in there. And if they never really grow, then they might never really stay around long term. This looks great. Takeaway container gone right. A lot of seedlings. Not seeing any kind of seedling that is on the side here. Sometimes you have seeds that get trapped. But this was okay. Columnar mother. And hopefully interesting kind of flower color. That's the attempt of that's the goal of these kind of hybrid crosses. Columnar mother to get the body and also the big flower. And maybe with the father to improve the flower color. So yeah, these could be great. We will see. I've just seen 3 seedlings probably. Here's a 4th one that's coming up on the side here, that little white dot up here, that's a seedling. Another one besides it. So we will get seeds here. We will get viable seeds. So this was one of the containers where I felt like the viability was poor. Did another container to test. And I'm actually happy that we will get seedlings here. I'm not sure, but the viability with some seeds has been inconsistent. So we will look into that. It could be too much heat, that the heat is just that it's excessively hot and that the seeds sometimes don't come up, or maybe not hot enough that I sometimes miss the temperature. So these here have been transplanted. This is sowing soil, classic sowing soil, and this had 2 seedlings in it to recover after being in washed pumice and looking very bad in washed pumice. And this seedling up here didn't make it. At some point you can, they just disappear. You can only see a few spines that are left, and it's done. It's getting moldy. So yeah, this was unfortunately beyond saving, but the one in center looks good. The one in center looks like we will probably be able to save it long term. Do you have advice for planting in the ground? Yeah, the water is the biggest problem in winter, if you ask me. The temperature where I live isn't really so incredibly cold, but the constant rain is the huge problem. So I would recommend to get some sort of a protection so you can kind of stop the rain from getting excessively, like sometimes we have months when it's just raining, a whole month of rain, and I can see that being a problem when you have them outside. I would recommend to take away these humid spots, like humidity spots, where you have whole brushes, trees, where everything is green, like, and I don't mean like in summer green grass. I mean when you have moss and that kind of stuff growing on walls, on cement, the kind of humidity that stays around, that lingers around. I would remove that. Try to get rid of that in any way possible. Protect from rain in any way. Then you can improve the drainage by adding something that might have a better drainage. It really depends on what kind of a species you have. But some species do really well if they have a perfect drainage. So you could still keep them out. But the water doesn't stay so long. But again, that will also backfire in summer, depending on how hot it gets. You really need to look closely at the spot and what kind of a problem you have there. Like when you plant out, what's the typical problem that you have? It's usually stuff like too much rain. The plants look horrible in the rain, getting like, they often get these spots on the skin, skin discolorations, that stuff, and all kinds of problems, because once it's raining outside, a little injury is also enough to turn into an infection. So if you can kind of protect everything from excessive rain, would be the biggest thing that would make the difference, the biggest difference probably. Okay, I wish I could plant out. I tried it a few times. I tried it with frost hardy opuntia, like those really frost hardy opuntia, and yeah, but the terrain that I have here, you really need to keep it clean. Need to keep the grass away. Need to keep the surrounding weeds from overgrowing everything. It's a constant struggle, and a lot of people here they use stone gardens, stuff like pumice and lava, because that makes it a little bit easier to manage. But again, it's not good for the local, for the native, like wildlife, native insects. The stone gardens are pretty dry, so they don't really offer a lot of like place and humidity for life. So I don't usually recommend doing it, but in regards to drainage, in regards to keeping cacti healthy, that is something that you can really do. Yeah, it really depends on the local climate. Lowest temperature is of course important, you know. The colder the temperature, the less likely it will succeed. Over here, we get something like minus 15 Celsius in winter. That's pretty cold. And if you add to that rain, and then it gets a combination that a lot of cacti just can't handle. But some can, you know. I see it so often, like my grandmother. She's growing some American Opuntia faecanta. I think it's the yellow flower, and they look great. Really nice kind of winter hardy, frost hardy plants. They take down to minus 25, but the flowers aren't big, you know, so it's not really something for me. I could focus on trying to get hybrids there, but I don't know. It's just you would have to invest a lot of time to kind of increase the flower size slowly over time. And it's not my field, so yeah. But I always like when I see the frost hardy cacti planted out. Okay, so here, these look healthy, nice green. Interesting how blackish the soil is, right? This was the cemetery soil, the classic soil that you see on the flower beds, you know. It's made to not be overgrown so fast, to kind of have that. There's a lot of root bark in it, so you can grow cacti in it too. It's not impossible. But this soil wasn't perfect either. You know, it's not. You can grow in almost everything. You can grow cactus seedlings in so many different types of soil. As long as the pH level is right, you can do it, and as long as there are no toxins in the soil. But yeah, some work better than others. And in this case, I'm happy. They look good. They haven't grown much though. I mean, that is the one thing that I kind of criticize here. This is Lobivia hybrid Dessau. And I always, when I say Lobivia, that Lobivia does a lot of heavy lifting. It's a pseudo-Lobivia hybrid, I think. Yeah, Echinopsis obrepanda-like hybrid. And I like the hybrids with it. Sometimes it can produce an amazing flower. Very often it's a waste of time and space. You need a lot of space to use it. But I like Dessau. It is one of the best hybrids in Lobivia, still. Not because of the flower, but because of the greatness of the results that you can get with it. It is a tool. Okay, so yeah, these they get to the point where I would love to take them out, you know. A little bit too big to still be in the bag, but they also have something very fragile about them, like on them. If I look at them, they will probably survive if I take them out now. But I'm not seeing a reason to take them out now, you know. If the skin color would be yellowish, not so healthily green, then I would probably use this chance to take them out of the bag. But at this point, it's going well, so we will keep it another week or two. Thus, it saves us a little bit of work with the watering. And I'm always happy to take questions. Like I said, if not, we're just discussing the seedlings that we have here. And it's getting more and more. Oh, and by the way, check it out. I dropped a lot of seedlings, and this is just one. I have 4 containers. Yesterday, I always, after the stream, when I end my stream, I already start moving plants back to the lamp, and I dropped 4 containers at once, and I dropped it all in front of me. There was, like dirt, soil in the house. I hate it. When I'm working here, I really try to work clean. It doesn't work all the time, but I really try to do it, And then yesterday I dumped that whole mess of seedlings in the middle of the living room. Yeah, so I try to get them apart, because at some point you need to worry about mixing the labels, So, and I was having a meltdown because I felt like, oh my God, I'm mixing the labels. It wouldn't be that huge of a deal, but I'm also growing stuff by other breeders, Like when I grow something from Uwe Kahle, I want to make sure that when the thing flowers and is amazing, then I want to be able to say this is a Uwe Kahle hybrid. I don't want to have a situation where I have a hybrid where I think it's a hybrid of mine, but it is actually a hybrid by someone else. I don't want that. So I was really freaking out. I eventually could separate them, but barely. So I hated that. I really hated that. I hope I can get the soil out of my living room again. I've been cleaning since yesterday and I still find soil. No, Kami didn't help. Kami was no help at all. Kami was complaining that she wanted to go out. Kami has been, I don't know, last 2 days, she's been up all night, like she's getting up in the middle of the night and already wants to go out. She has a lot of fun during, like when it's nice, when the weather's great. But yeah, I'm always worried about her, with how old she is now. It's not easy right now for me, because I don't know. I'm always worried, and I see that she's already old. That she's very slow when she goes when she moves up the stairs, moves down the stairs. Then she's really slow, and it hurts me a little seeing her, And but I'm doing my best just to give her a nice quality of life, nice life evening. I posted that yesterday evening, like I was lying in bed at 10 and I thought about the day, and I was so exhausted yesterday. Because every 3 minutes that I have, I go out with the animals, And yesterday I was just lying there in bed and I was proud. I was really proud that I did it. Because I don't know, it was such a bad situation just a year ago. And I'm really proud of the fact that I'm here for them now, that I've gone through all the bad stuff from the last couple of years, and I was still there for them. I didn't fall apart when I could have done that. Like I can see that they are both happy, and that makes me like, that is all that really matters at the end of the day to me right now. So yeah, I just hope that in 10, 20 years from now, when I look back to this time, I would be happy with myself, with what I did, with how much time I gave them. Kami's walking around everywhere in the garden, and I'm just going with her, because I don't want her to be out alone. Because she's so old, she often feels drawn to the street, and we have a very dangerous street here. So I can't really let her walk out alone. She wouldn't live long, So I really need to make sure that doesn't happen, that nothing bad happens to her. And Every day we have the buzzards that are flying over. We have a lot of big birds here, big animals. So I always go with her, you know. And when I'm done with that, then I do something with Mika. It's like how I spend my day right now. After being so ill, you know, I felt like that is the only thing that really matters. Apart from the fact what I'm doing now with the channel and all, you know, I have a lot of ambition. I really want to succeed, you know. When I do something, I'm not showing up to not succeed. But apart from that, only thing that matters to me personally is that we're spending good time right now, because I know how fast it goes. Like in between, like with Snoopy got 14 years old. The time flew by. So I'm really enjoying that time right now. Also with Mika. Mika is a young dog. She enjoys running around everywhere and yeah, enjoying the good times while it lasts. Once you've seen how fast it goes, you appreciate it more. Thank you. I'm really proud. There are times when I wasn't happy with myself. Right now, I mostly am. And I never thought that I would say something like that. I'm immensely self-critical. And it's what makes me succeed often. You know, like I do stuff and then I really take a critical look at it. And that can lead to me throwing everything that I didn't like out and doing it completely differently. And I'm really happy with how I'm doing it now. So yeah, I will never be 100% happy with myself. Like with my parents, I often feel like I should spend more time with my parents also. But I'm already doing more of that. I'm pushing myself out of my comfort zone a lot. And that has helped me to grow. The stream was something that I would not have done maybe 5 years ago. And now it's been one of the best things that I ever did. And because it allows people to get to know me, get to know what kind of guy I am. And it worked for me, right? Like right now, what I'm doing, I feel I belong. I belong here right now. So, and also with everything going on, I'm happy with where I am. Feel like that's where I'm needed. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, yeah. So let's have a look at these here. Very small. Haven't grown. Not really making me, like, not really convinced that these will suddenly start growing fast. But it's a Uwe Kahle hybrid, so I will give it time. If this were some sort of a Hilde Winterer hybrid, I would probably already be done with it. Like mentally. I would still give it a chance, but if this was a Hilde Winterer hybrid that wasn't even green, then I would focus on other stuff. But in this case, I really see the potential. They could really start to grow eventually. They are way behind the other seedlings. Not sure why. Okay. What's this? Here's another interesting situation where we have a seedling. This is a second germination cycle. I tried to germinate seeds here. First attempt failed. So then I let everything dry out and did a second germination cycle with humidity, with heat. And now this tiny seedling here came up. So not really totally a failure. This is Angelo. Echinopsis lubivia hybrid. And it could be very interesting for breeding. I had paid $100 for Angelo maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago maybe. And I had the plant grafted. I was breeding with it for a while, and I still haven't seen the offspring because it still haven't flowered. So I can't really tell you how good of a parent it is, but it has potential. That combination of Lobevia and Echinopsis, and it has that kind of interesting flower from Lobevia, could work very well. So I just hope that maybe I can get 1 or 2 of those to flower. They will need 2 or 3 years, probably, with the kind of hybrid that they are. Hey Robert, welcome to the stream. Great to see you. Hope you're doing all right. I can't believe it's Monday again. This week just started new. You know, you always look forward to the weekend and then it flies by so fast. Yeah, so here also variegation probably in some of them. Yeah, I'm really happy when it's the weekend. For one, on the weekend I watch a lot of sport. I can't watch scripted television anymore, like classic television. If I watch something, it's usually stuff like HBO or rarely movies. Rarely. I have seen Sinners and that kind of stuff. Like I watched just a few movies here and there. And yeah, apart from that, I usually watch sports. So on the weekend, they show that all the time. And then I at least have something to, to focus on. Because I don't want to watch news. I don't want to watch, like, there's so little on television that I personally like. And on the weekend, I don't get any kind of invoice, any kind of bill. The postal system doesn't really work so well on the weekend. The banks don't deduct money over the weekend. I like that. When I'm like over the weekend, I never have to worry that there's enough money on the account for everything that goes off the account. So I like the weekend. Big fan. So yeah, these partially variegated, not growing well. We would see. For now, there are a few seedlings that have a little touch of green. Maybe they will make it. This is starting to fail. Like at some point when the dirt gets into the mechanism here, then they break. So eventually I might have to take that out, maybe transplant into new soil if it doesn't grow, or think about fertilizing. Okay, so this looks good. Acceptable. Like this, the level, like the soil is on the top level here. You see the seedlings and they are almost already out of the pot. I like that. Compared to this here, difference between night and day. Yeah, apart from that, most of the seedlings are green. So not really too many variegation, and that is good. These are from 18A 2000. Andreas Wessner hybrid, Pseudolobevia hybrid, and one of the plants that I really believe in. You have a few, every breeder has them. The few plants that they have where they feel that thing could really improve my whole organization. And this is one of them. So I will work with it. I'm still, this year I might see the first flowers from my hybrid crosses with it. I have seen other hybrids, like other hybrid breeders make crosses with it, and I've seen the results of those, and they were good. So I already know, have somewhat of a knowledge of the mother plant that produced the seedlings here. I see enough potential that I'm growing them, that I'm giving them the space for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. And yeah, some plants you that they have it in them to be good, to be exceptional, whatever, to be that great thing. Same here. Let me see what's this. I want to see what is so healthy here. This is Vers 11. Vers 11 from 2025. Comparing that to the other container that I had there with Vers 11, it was the difference between seeds that are 2 years old and seeds that are just a few months old. If you really like the kind of hybrid cross that you have, or the kind of seeds that you have, sow them out right away. That's my recommendation. Sometimes the viability drops. Apart from that, they would stay in there. They are very small. Nothing really big that could be taken out of the bag. Okay, so here I'm unhappy. Look at the color. Color isn't the way it's supposed to be. This is already the kind of color where I feel like this could be nutrient, but I'm not convinced, not 100%. With seedlings, you always, like when you have something that happens in all of the seedlings, you have some sort of you can have genetic reasons for discolorations. But I don't like the color. Then I don't like that they don't have a lot of spines. They haven't grown enough for the size that they have. You can already see that there are weeds in this pot here, like this thing here. I will take that out, by the way. Some sort of a lesion or something similar. It looks like microscopic kale. Maybe someone can really, who knows what it is, can really explain it to me what it is. But I always find it in containers, and I often take it out because I'm not convinced it might not spread spores, like ferns do. German word for fern is Farn. By the way, I was just thinking about how to call it, and I didn't know the English word anymore. These are Born to be Wild hybrids, Born to be Wild sister, and it has immense potential. So what I'm saying about this hybrid cross for the last months, it's really good. Like genetically, the mother has a super amazing flower. If I would just have maybe 10, 20 seedlings that all have the same flower color, that would already success for me, because that would give me 10 plants to breed with, to cross with. But they are not really growing fast here. They do not look unhealthy, like completely unhealthy either. They all look green without discoloration. So for now, I will just leave them in this thing. I will start fertilizing them very soon. I could transplant them now, move them into into sowing soil. This is the dark black kind of soil here that we used in the beginning. So now we could maybe try transplanting them in a new sowing soil that I have. But they are not really big. They are so small that stress could really throw them off for a good month, maybe more. So yeah, I will leave them in for now. But I want to start fertilizing them very soon. Okay. So I need to start transplanting seedlings here. They just look too bad. I need to do that now. You know, when you knock them over, you just don't have a lot of time where you can leave them lying like this. So I brought a few square pots and I want to start cleaning them a little. I've already disinfected them, but I want to clean them a little bit more, that I'm 100% certain don't bring anything into the into the house. When I bring in seedlings, they are sprayed. I brought in like a lot of seedlings just from the greenhouses, and they all needed to be sprayed. Otherwise, you might bring in stuff like mealybug, white fly, or worse, who knows, you know? Cockroaches, whatever. I don't want to have that, like when you have a plant outside. I always see it when I do time-lapse videos. Overnight, in my time-lapse video, there's constantly little life, little spiders, little insects, whatever, you know, everything that is living outside in the greenhouses. So when I'm bringing something inside, I'm a little bit careful. And I wouldn't mind like the benign kind of stuff, but you really have to be careful when bringing something in. There's always risk involved. So yeah, let's get a little bit of soil here. And I'm really compressing it this time. I don't want to have the soil sink in, because if you look at it, it looked like it was full originally. So now I started to press that stuff down, which would have also happened the moment I would start watering it. And now it's a lot less soil in that thing. Yeah, good night. Have a good night. Thank you for participating in the stream. I appreciate it. In summer, we are doing a stream where you can go to sleep and have the stream behind you. Like we're just putting that thing on the flowers. Nothing else. Okay, so I will put in a little bit of water here. I need to get the soil to a humidity where I can walk with it. I don't want it to be too dry, too puffy, too powdery. Now I have a somewhat wet top layer, but a lot of the seedlings that are a lot of the soil that is below is still completely dry. So I will have to long-term water a few times. And now I will just move the seedlings, like place the seedlings on top of the soil here. Then I will water again to clean the seedlings that I'm transplanting. Always got to be a little bit careful, like when you're transplanting. Sometimes there are seedlings that have little injuries, and sometimes it can make sense to not bring them back, because the moment they have an injury from being dropped, for example, like what happened here, then they can start turning later. They can start turning into a problem, into fungal infection. Okay. A lot of seedlings. I hate when that happens. I really hate when that happens. Dropping seedlings, at the very least, it throws the seedlings off for months. At the very least. Yeah, I like the automatic translator feature on YouTube. I'm so torn about it, and here's why. I wanted to deactivate it completely, you know, because I I had the problem when I wanted to, sometimes I download my own videos to share them again. And then every time I tried to download them, they were in German, like some dude's voice in German. So I thought about deactivating it completely. But then my mother my mother wrote me and said she's so happy that she can finally watch my videos, you know? My mother's German and she can't speak English. So she's always watching my stuff but doesn't understand what I say. And that is the reason why I haven't deactivated it yet. Because my mother likes it. Because my mother thinks it's a great feature. Personally, it was constantly activated for me as a, you know, because I have some settings in German, and that really bothered me. Like that point can really be annoying, but generally speaking, the feature can be helpful. You know, people can watch stuff from all over the world, and I generally like that kind of stuff. So yeah, for my mom, there's the auto translator. Yes, thank you. I'm really happy that my mom is still seeing what I'm doing right now. There were times in my life when I wasn't really using all my potential. You know, I always had potential. I was always smart. But there were times in life when I kind of threw it away. So right now, I'm really glad that my mother sees me and sees me doing what I do now. So many people that message me that like what I do, you know, and she's proud of me for that. And I was always incredibly scared of losing them before I make it, you know, like before I finally, I've had my whole life, I had to fight hard to get where I am now, to succeed. And now my mother already sees that a little bit of that success. I think she, like, even if I would lose her now, she would have still seen what I've become, you know, like that kind of, I'm a good person today. I'm a good character. People respect me. People like what I do. I get so many messages, you know, and I'm proud of that. So yeah, I'm glad that she's still here. Because I threw so many years away. Yeah, I'm trying to find a middle ground between being totally antisocial and also visiting them, spending time with them. This is the type of stuff where I need to work on myself a little more. So yeah. And my father is over 70 now. And he has MS. He's really has a bad case of MS. And yeah, right now it really matters. The time right now, it really matters. Spending it wisely. And again, it really mattered to me that they see that at some point I do something good with my life. And that is what makes me proud today, a little bit, you know. I feel like I know I'm still not there yet, but we will get there. I will not stop before that. So yeah, it's just a matter of time. But I'm glad your parents are still there, Robert. Make the most of it. One day, I just learned that this is the type of stuff that you regret one day. I have, like, going into the future, one of the big things for me was that I said I don't want to regret anything anymore. So I'm doing so much that I never did now. The older you get, the more it counts, because time is really running away. It's flying away. So yeah, it's getting better a little bit. But I really regret that that happened, that I dropped those seedlings. Vers 11 was this. Also good seedlings. You know, you always drop the good seedlings. I'm not sure what it is. I might have even felt like, don't drop it, don't drop it. And that might have been the cause that I dropped it. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy, kind of. Okay. It will really take a while until all the seedlings have settled in fully. It's not easy to have them at exactly the right angle. So my recommendation is to just get started, put them in some sort of a spot, in some position, and eventually, if it's bad, they will fall over, and you can do it again. Just get started, and you will work out everything else later. With cactus seedlings, you really get a feeling for them. You get a feeling for how much you can move them, what they can take and what not, what they cannot take, you know. Over the years, I've become very careful about piercing them, you know, not to pierce them. But apart from that, they are pretty hardy. Doesn't mean you can't lose them for all kinds of different reasons, but if you stick to the basics, they will usually survive being transplanted like this. I do. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. That was before my time, like the Beatles. Someone wrote I look like George from the Beatles. I really need to look it up. Of course, I knew that. I know the music. I've been like, I was once like with a friend of mine on Facebook who's a big musician, like not huge but locally big, and he explained me with like immense patience the positive influence of the Beatles on rock music, on music in general, you know. And I found that interesting because I never really saw the Beatles being the Beatles. I only saw like it was already over when I kind of started listening to music. So I never really felt like that the sound was so new or so unique. So I never really got a feeling for the Beatles. It's not my band really, but I appreciate that they've been groundbreaking at the time, and some of the songs are timeless. I appreciate all that. It's just, I don't know. It's a little bit too kind of poppy for my taste. Okay. Little bit of water that needs to sink in. Okay. Yeah. And the moment I watered again, bunch of seedlings fell over again. It just happens. Better to work with a water sprayer, but my water sprayers keep breaking. Earlier today, I was so proud that I had the water sprayer working again. And then, within seconds, it broke again. But I might have a replacement piece of the water sprayer from another one that also broke. Like the metal piece in the front where the water comes out, I might have another one of those. Okay, so I believe I will leave it like this now. They're still not perfect, but we will fix that again next time. At some point, you need to let it go and focus on the others. Here's another seedling. Forgot one. Looks pretty messed up. Sometimes you don't have to bring them all back, you know. Sometimes it can make sense to leave the sick ones out, especially if you have to limit the seedlings later, like if you can only keep a few. Okay, so next one. The soil was too dry. I hate when that happens, but I just didn't get the right humidity early. I was spraying the soil, trying to restore humidity, but it just takes a while once the soil has completely dried out. Yeah, and I brought, by the way, I'm not sure if we can do it today. If not, we will do it tomorrow. But I brought 2 more of the chili seedlings that I wanna put in a bigger pot. And now it's time to take them out of humidity, I think. They should be big enough. We will discuss that tomorrow then when I'm doing it tomorrow. But the chili look nice. They get bigger and bigger. I'm pretty proud about them, proud of them. What's this? This container, there's only 3 seedlings. I'm not sure what this is. I think this could have been the ones that I couldn't assign 100% when they got mixed. I hate that when that happens. Yeah. Okay, let's do another one. I will put these 4 into a separate container, but not now. We'll do that later. Little bit of water, because the soil is so dry. Really hate when that happens. So yeah, yesterday evening I saw that they were airing the Super Bowl in Germany. Germany still hasn't really like they are trying to start football, American football in Germany, trying to introduce it to the mass market, and I don't know. I'm not sure if it will work. It's just a very I tried to watch it and I didn't get the rules. I didn't understand it at all. So yeah, might be tough on the German market with football, especially since like actual football is so big here. But from time to time I watch it. I just try to watch it so I understand the memes that are made afterwards. But yeah, I didn't really watch the whole thing yesterday. I just maybe 20 minutes or so. Okay, so yeah, I want to transplant these 2. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me if you have a sport where so little of it is actually played with the foot. That's called football. I mean, if the name hadn't been taken, it's a great name, you know. But yeah, I completely understand since football isn't so big in the United States, like soccer, what Americans call soccer. We'll see how it goes if that sport becomes more gets more fans in the United States. I feel like it's growing there. Soccer. A lot of famous players going to American clubs just to kind of grow the sport a little, and I like that. If I were a player, I would go to some sort of a nice warm state also. Totally get it. So yeah, what I want to show you, I've been putting in water like crazy. I've been putting in so much water that it starts to, to come up, but it's still dry. The top layer, there are parts of the top layer that's still dry. That is why it's so bad to, like, if you have soil that loses the humidity, it takes a lot of work to get it back to where you can work with it. Okay, so here's a seedling ball, and it already has like fur from Kami, like from rolling around on the floor. So I need to clean that up a little. Trying to just take them apart, but without breaking them, and that's not easy. Okay. A lot of seedlings. I'm not sure if I have to split up or not, but we will see. Okay. Okay. This still doesn't have like a full kind of label. I always want to look it up, and then I forget again. This is a hybrid from me, from myself, from 2024. Cross 114. I will try to think about it for later. Yeah, they really try to make it happen in Germany. We'll see how it goes. Doubt it. They just, most people don't understand the rules. I think that's the biggest problem. I didn't understand them. It's just, it's really hard for people to completely learn a new sport, like the rules of a new sport when they are adult. I'm just trying to keep a close, like to have a look at the seedlings and compare, because I felt like maybe I'm having two different types of seedlings here after dropping them. So I've tried to get a closer look at the seedlings, but it's almost impossible now. That will become more visible later on. But it really bothers me now, You have that uncertainty about the parentage now that it's dropped. Shouldn't have happened. I really regret that it happened. And I had these problems with dropping the containers. I had these a lot. Couple years ago, it constantly happened. So yeah, I'm trying to not. I just got to start like planting them now. I will make a note that these had potentially mixed seedlings, and then when they are a little bit bigger, you can usually tell. The seedlings here, in case here, they are they are really different kind of plants. So long term, it will they will show different traits. But for now, in the beginning, when they are just seedling, it might be a little too early for that. Sometimes you have a little seedling, and it only produces the classic traits later on because it's so small. So for now, we just pot them up. I have no other choice. I could at this point could completely discard them, and I don't want to do that because these are really good. Okay. That one seedling ball that I have there, it's just bad when that happens. I try to take them apart. You know, when you have so many seedlings at once, like with one shared soil ball, that's really annoying. And not only that, but it prevents you from positioning the seedlings like in a better way, in an ideal way. I'm really unsure about these seedlings, man. This is bad. This is really, really bad. They're just too small. I saw on some of them, I picked up a very unique body shape. That is something that I discussed very often when I discussed the hybrids. But once you drop them on one on one big dump, then of course it's not possible anymore. If it had happened maybe like a year later or 6 months later, then I could have already seen a difference, a better difference, a bigger difference. But for now, so in these here, they need to be repositioned very often. This will not work within short time. This will take a while. This will be constantly corrected. At some point, we will transplant them in something bigger. But for now, I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to spread them out too much. I want to keep an eye on the ones that got mixed. Yeah. It's not good, you know, but it could be worse. I would just put both tags in, and that will, when they are bigger, that will allow me to see the difference. You can almost always, like when you're really an experienced breeder, you can see the body. You see the body that you have been working with, you know, because you always have to know what kind of a body the seedlings will have, because that kind of influences how you plan. That influences if you even want to make the cross or not. So you have a certain knowledge of how a body should look when it comes up from a certain cross, and then that allows you to kind of separate them a little easier. But that's still a year away for now. For now, it's just getting them back in the soil to avoid losing them because they are so small. You're kind of racing against the clock. Okay. The pot is full. Oh, guys, I need to stop. My battery is empty. I'm at 9%, 5%. So I gotta go. But thank you for being here. I will be back tomorrow. I appreciated it, and I will be back. Okay. Thank you, guys. I apologize, but my smartphone battery is turning, you know, it's on its last legs. So thank you. Take care. Have a nice day.